you gotta fight against that.
Okay, there's a hand here, a hand there, and then there's a sister that had a hand, and we'll come back up here.
There's no
Yes.
doubt that indigenous information is propagated by whoever they are. But we're eating it up, we've been eating it up for centuries, and we're still eating it up. And that's the problem. People are eating it up all the time, and they feed off it. There's no question, but we're talking about solving this, but what's the step to solve it? And it goes back to communication and education. And you know, you said something about food earlier. There's no doubt that food is a great way. We have all these communities that want to get together, right? Let me tell you something. Let's have one community organization hold a social, a gathering, open to everybody. Let's start with some food. Because food might bring some food.
Never have.
Wait a minute. You change your habits. I'm not saying that, but we want, we have a bunch of communities who want to get together right here, right now. Starting now. Why don't we open up some kind of opening socially for people who want, even to get a few. It doesn't matter. Let's share, exchange information. Let's start with something to eat, because you know what? Food brings people.
Oh, yeah.
And you want to sit down and have something. You talk to somebody, learn something new that day. You might come back next week, you might share what you can learn. You're not going to get everybody to change at once. Let's start a little at a time, but you got to do something. And there's no way, there's no reason why you can't start with something.
Okay, there's a hand back here, and then the sister had her hand up, and then we have brother here, and then we'll come back over there. Yes, please. Yes, back there, sir.
I do commend you guys for this dialogue tonight. Again, in Hempstead or Freeport or Uniondale, this should have been going on back years ago. And we've been talking of education, we're talking of respect, we're talking of loving one another, but we never mentioned what is dividing us, which was the question. And when you look at the political setup, which nobody talks about,
Yeah.
right? This is the real cause of the problem we have. In all these other black areas, you know, whether you talk of Uniondale, whether you talk of Freeport, whether you talk of Hempstead, this is the big problem with that. I go to the trustee meeting many times. I don't see many people attending. They have a lot of public forum going on. The mayor sits down there with his trustee people. Boom, they do what they have to do, and they get out. And then later on, when things happen, when election comes out, you have the Board of Education, you guys are ready. It's not supposed to be that time. This should be ongoing every time. Should have become like this. We all get together, we know you, I know you, I know you, I met you somewhere. It's not when the trustee election is coming before we know that we have to be there. Then you can, you know the guys who are actually ready to help us. If not, the same thing will be going on. And we're going to be talking the same thing over and over and over. And the political setup in our area is the big cause of our division.
Okay.
And they love it like that. They want us to stay like that. And you are in El Salvador, I'm from Africa, by the way. And you don't know nothing, but I've been in Hempstead for 30 years. So I know what is going on.
Yes.
Well, and this is the problem we have to face. This is the reality of what is going on in our area.
Thank you. Sister?
My point is, we need to learn something about history. We say we know about history. I watched Black Latin America and Many Rivers. PBS put it out. If you watch this, it will teach you about everybody's culture. And I hold Spanish stores or whatever, and I tell people, we all came from one place. We all connected through by Africa.
That's right.
We all, Spanish, black, whatever, we connected through by Africa. We have that blood. And that's we have that attitude because that's what messes us up. Because one wants to be more than the other. Just learn how to love each other.
All right, that's a good one.
And you will cure more.
Thank you. We'll swing around. Yes, sir.
As a middle school educator, I am blessed to teach 3 different groups of students. I teach the newcomers, bilingual students, newcomers, Spanish students that were born here in the United States, and language is the language that they mostly speak, and then the African American students. So I teach the 3 groups, and one of the things that I have found, especially on the middle school level, and one of the powerful things, and I think personally, a minute ago, is especially with newcomers and that I deal with, there's a poem from Langston Hughes that every year I bring forth to that new class that I'm teaching. Now, it's interesting because how can you be teaching in a bilingual class about an African American boy? Well, or writer, author. You do, because you look at the content of the writing, number one, and number two, you have to model that which you want to teach. It's not just talking, it's not just eating, it's actually walking the walk. So, and I'm talking about the poem, The Negro Spiritual Reading, which is a very powerful poem that really talks about the beginning of humankind. And when we tend to go back, or when we learn to see ourselves as one people, not as different people. Now, the question of the problem is, most of the students, regardless of who they are, already bring those thoughts that we are different and we have to be different. But it is up to us then to model. And I would say as a leader within my school community, I'm blessed to have around me people who represent different backgrounds. African American, Caribbean, Caucasian, and Latino. And then the question arises from the three groups. How can you interact with all of them? Because they ask, and the question is, we are the same. It doesn't matter how we look.
And that's
we are the same.
That's a rich dynamic that a lot of folks wanted to take away from, is really positive. Okay, we got a hand here, and then we're coming back over. Yes.
I don't want to give you too much credit, but I got to give you credit. We need, this is very key solution to most of the problems we face in our communities. We need more Fred Brewingtons. Not just yourself, I mean, it's like, if something happens in law or whatever's going on, you're like the go-to guy. There's one Fred Brewington. Okay, before that, people saw Johnny Cochran as an example. You had Thurgood Marshall and these different people. If you know the law, if you know the Constitution, you can fight anybody. This country is based on the Constitution. Even if you're a prisoner, you can be in a prison. But if you know constitutional law, you can do anything. I think we need to develop more people with a law type of mind, that type of thinking. You know, the top politicians are all lawyers. Even the top people in sports, Bob Arrow, he was a lawyer. All these guys, David Stern was a lawyer. So I think we have more of that. I'm not, I don't want to, but I think if we have more people thinking that way, that would benefit our communities. We don't have people that represent us in that way. Everybody else can talk, but you can't back it up by law and say, this can happen, it's not going to work. That's the only way you can get change if you know the law and you have that constituted in your daily life. All this other talk is good, it sounds good, but it's not going to solve anything.
Okay,
People don't pay attention to you unless you can say, this is what it says, you got to do something about it.
go to Rob.